reminding us how much the values and principles of sports can teach us. But as the show concludes tonight with an award named for a man as principled and as inspiring as anyone to ever come along in sports, we're about to tell you a story that is difficult to hear. It's a story about what can happen in sports when something goes terribly wrong, when the dream of being an athlete turns into a nightmare, when the trust that's at the center of the whole idea of playing sports as a kid is broken. But even if the story we're about to tell you is going to be hard to hear, we all have to hear it. We have to hear it. For one, to make sure that what happened at Michigan State University and USA Gymnastics never happens again. But we also have to hear it because the massive chorus of voices that have emerged from incredible darkness over the last year are demanding it, with remarkable poise, unimaginable strength, and unbelievable courage.
It didn't take me very long to consider coming forward and telling my story. Realizing who this man was and who he had access to, I knew I wasn't only carrying myself, I was going to be carrying a lot of other women and young girls with me. And I needed to do it. I wanted to do it.
Before it all came to light, their world looked like it was supposed to. Bright young athletes epitomizing those ideals of sport. Discipline, determination, and perfection. But in the shadows alongside it all, a dangerous culture emerged. A culture where no one wanted to stand in the way of victories and gold medals, where abuse went unquestioned and athletes were disposable, and where a pedophile like Larry Nassar could exploit his standing and reputation as a doctor, preying on young children's trust and wielding it against them.
He was Larry Nassar. He worked with Olympians. So right away, I felt like, wow, this is such a privilege. He would have us take our leotards off and be face down on a treatment table. And that's how this began. I believe I was either 12 or 13 years old.
It was after my 13th birthday.
I was 24 years old.
He started doing this weird treatment.
This so-called treatment.
In order to loosen up the muscles in my back to help make my pain go away.
I had a back injury, and he was the guy to see.
He had been doing it for so many years.
At MSU, at my own gym.
Every time at the ranch.
John Goddard's gym.
And at the Olympics.
He started putting his
fingers inside.
without gloves.
8-year-old, 9-year-old, 10-year-old.
On my bed, in my hotel room.
Internally, fixing my tailbone.
Okay, this must be the treatment that's gonna help me. So it was something that I just dealt with.
I was draped with a sheet or like a towel over my...
Using lotion on his...
And I told him to stop, and he hid in the corner while he calmed down.
Larry was shameless.
Very brazen. He was very practiced. He was allowed to do any treatments he wanted.
3 to 4 times a week.
Twice a day.
3 to 4 days.
At least an hour and a half.
Every time I went, every single time.
A few times a week.
From when I was 10 to 20.
I reported in 1997 when I was 16 years old. I was told that I must be misunderstanding. His hands will get close to certain areas, but they are never inappropriate. I said, well, that's not what is happening to me. The disturbing thing is, had somebody done the right thing, hundreds of girls could have been spared.
Abuse, silence, victory. Abuse, silence, victory. This cycle was repeated over and over for generations. But finally, in 2016, it was disrupted, starting with an Indiana newspaper, followed by one woman coming forward, then another, then more.
I spent those years just hoping that I was the only one. But how could I be?
Dr. Larry Nassar was arrested yesterday in Indiana.
Dr. Larry Nassar has been charged with 3 counts of
U.S. gymnastics doctor pleaded guilty to sexually abusing young gymnasts while claiming to treat their injuries.
I was greeted by an image, a mugshot of Nassar on the television screen. I knew instantly that what I had thought was extremely inappropriate was real. I'm not gonna cry anymore. That moment, like I'll just never forget that moment. Like that's when my life really started to like move again.
After years, and for some decades, their silence finally ended this past January. There in a Michigan courtroom, they came together and reclaimed their voice, no longer alone in their fight.
Honorable Judge Aquilina, first I would like to thank you. I felt like I was taking back that 16-year-old that was stolen. Her innocence, my innocence. I was taking that back.
To Larry, today I'm speaking to you as my 10-year-old self. I should have never met this sad excuse for a man. You stole my innocence from me.
I can't even put into words how much I hate you.
How dare you ask any of us for forgiveness?
You are pathetic to think that anyone would have any sympathy for you.
The time is up. No longer. This army you have created, this army doesn't have a white flag to wave. But even though I'm a victim, I do not and will not live my life as one. I am an Olympian.
Larry, this group of women you so heartlessly abused over such a long period of time are now a force, and you are nothing.
It became something so much bigger. As the days went on, the momentum built, and the country, the world started listening to us.
Army of survivors. We are Jane Doe's no more.
All of those years of questioning myself and my own worth were over. I wasn't a victim anymore. I was a survivor, and I had an army of survivors behind me too.
I believe in individualized sentencing. I follow the Constitution, and I believe our system works. I also believe these survivors.
I'm speaking up today for the first time publicly in order to honor my 2-year-old daughter and to be able to show her that her mom was brave and that her mom stood up.
If we have to walk this journey to make sure that no other little girl has to walk this journey, then that's exactly what we're going to do.
Jordan Weaver, survivor. Tiffany Thomas Lopez, survivor. Lindsay Lemke, Jamie Dancher,
Sterling Reedman,
Larson, Nichols,
Larissa Boyce,
survivor.
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 Rachel Denhollander, survivor.
More than 300 survivors have come forward, with likely hundreds more out there. They've sent their abuser away for life. And now it's about shining a light on the institutions that enabled him. It's a crusade, a movement seeking justice for the unprotected. And their work has only just begun.
To know that there was adults out there that didn't want to protect me, it just breaks my heart. And I'm standing up for the little girl that was inside of me that didn't feel like she had a voice. Because now I'm an adult and I can make a difference, and I'm going to.
Ladies and gentlemen, representing every survivor, an army that has come here tonight to be heard. Please welcome to the stage the recipients of the 2018 Arthur Ashe Award for Courage.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, ESPN and the Arthur Ashe family for honoring survivors of sexual abuse. It is a privilege to stand up here with my sister survivors as we represent hundreds more who are not with us tonight. Make no mistake, we are here on this stage to present an image for the world to see, a portrait of survival, a new vision of courage. The abuse of Larry Nassar began 30 years ago with me. For 30 years, people at the United States Olympic Committee, USA Gymnastics, and Michigan State University all placed money and medals above the safety of child athletes. 30 years until the work of Detective Lieutenant Andrea Mumford of the Michigan State Police Department and Angela Povolitis, the Assistant Attorney General, who prosecuted the case, finally putting our abuser away for life. Speaking up and speaking out is not easy. Telling our stories of abuse over and over and over again in graphic detail is not easy. We're sacrificing privacy, we're being judged and scrutinized, and it's grueling and it's painful, but it is time. As a mother, I am here to say that we must start caring about children's safety more than we care about adults' reputations. And as a survivor, I am here to say that if we can just give one person the courage to use their voice, this is worth it. If one more victim of sexual abuse feels less alone tonight, then our suffering has meaning.
In my sport, softball, we typically measure ourselves by wins and losses. Well, the amount of loss that we've endured over the years is almost immeasurable. But tonight, we stand here and it feels like we're finally winning. There are a lot of conversations in our society that we tiptoe around as if there's something to avoid. I know in my life, I've seen people look that way at two issues extremely personal to me: race and sexual abuse. Sexual abuse claims victims in every race, showing no discrimination. Just like Arthur Ashe, I stand so very proud, representing not only minorities, but all of us as humans, the human race. I encourage those suffering to hold tight to your faith and stand tall when speaking your truth, because I'm here to tell you that you cannot silence the strong forever.
(1997), 1998, 1999, 2000, 2004, 2011, 2013, 2014, 2015, 2016. These were the years we spoke up about Larry Nassar's abuse. All those years, we were told, "You are wrong. You misunderstood. He's a doctor. It's okay. Don't worry. We've got it covered. Be careful. There are risks involved." The intention? To silence us in favor of money, medals, and reputation. But we persisted, and finally, someone listened and believed us. This past January, Judge Rosemarie Aquilina showed a profound level of understanding by giving us each the opportunity to face our abuser, to speak our truth, and feel heard. Thank you, Judge Aquilina, for honoring our voices. For too long, we were ignored, and you helped us rediscover the power we each possess. You may never meet the hundreds of children you saved, but know they exist. The ripple effect of our actions or inactions can be enormous, spanning generations. Perhaps the greatest tragedy of this nightmare is that it could have been avoided. Predators thrive in silence. It is all too common for people to choose to not get involved. Whether you act or do nothing, you are shaping the world that we live in, impacting others. All we needed was one adult to have the integrity to stand between us and Larry Nassar. If just one adult had listened, believed, and acted, the people standing before you on this stage would have never met him. Too often, abusers and enablers perpetuate suffering by making survivors feel that their truth doesn't matter. To all the survivors out there, don't let anyone rewrite your story. Your truth does matter, you matter, and you are not alone. We all face hardships. If we choose to listen and we choose to act with empathy, we can draw strength from each other. We may suffer alone, but we survive together. Thank you.
Wow, what a powerful stage up here, right? This is something I've never seen before. Thank you all of you so much for standing in your truth. It's not easy, but you did it. And because of that, we all can gain from it. We can. Your courage has led us all to a place where we can stand in our own truth even more. Dig our heels in. It's what's gonna make all the difference. Thank you so much. On behalf of all of us here in Los Angeles and at the ESPYs, thank you for watching, and good night.